All right, guys. Hey, Paul McLean here. I got Mike Ratliff, right?
Yes, sir.
Good to have you on board, man.
Appreciate it.
Hey, man, I'm excited to have you. In fact, I reached out to Bruce. It's like, man, who do you got that's killing it? Because Bruce has consistently got some people that are just killing it, man. He's like, dude, my guy Mike has been here for like 30 days, and he's already out there, helping. What is it? How many families?
27.
27 families.
27.
How many agents do you have on your team already, Mike?
31.
31 agents on your team.
Yes.
How many are selling?
So out of that, I have 4 selling, and the rest are going through contracting.
So the rest are new like you, right?
Yeah.
So you got going into class. You started talking about it right away, or how long did it take
right
you?
away.
Why did you start talking about it right away?
Because I understood that a team can go further than I can by myself.
So you thought I could do more if I got a team that's with me.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you feel like when you saw the opportunity, were you convinced it was going to work for you?
Not at first. Only because I'll say I was recruited for like 2 years. I thought about it, and I was like, but then one day I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna try it out. And then once I really started going through the class and I started, hearing and understanding what people were doing, I was like, oh yeah, I could do something with this.
So you say recruited for 2 years, man. What do you talk, like? What do you mean?
Bruce was trying to get me to come on his team for
He's
about
dripping
2
on
years,
you?
just dripping on me, man. Every time we talk, he'd tell me what he's doing over here. I'm like, that's cool. I even came down to the office. I had other things going on, and then one day I was just like, I'm just gonna take a chance on this and see what it can do for me.
What was it like the tipping point, man? When you went from like checking it out to like, dude, I'm gonna give this thing a run. I think this thing will work.
Honestly, man, my wife.
So she's smarter than you.
Yeah, pretty much.
I kind of got that feeling when I met her earlier. I was
man.
like, I felt it.
Hey, so you always gotta listen to those. So she was like, man, let's just give it a try and see. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna try it out. And then I haven't looked back.
Because you've had some success prior. It wasn't like you were out there like, gotta give me some new opportunity. I need to make money for my family. You've had some success.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. So I have a trucking company. Before that, I did like real estate wholesaling. I had a large selling company with a call center vibe. Previous to that, so I saw the opportunity, and it wasn't the time. And I think God's timing is very important. And when it was first brought to me, I guess it just wasn't the time for me to do that. And then my wife said, "Hey, let's take a chance at that." And I was like, "All right." And I just jumped in, 2 feet in.
Hey, dude, no doubt, dude. 2 feet in got you 30 families help in a given month. And think about that, Chassie. Like if that's the first 30 days, and I love Mike, but like he sucks right now compared to what he's gonna be doing. I mean,
Right.
You're brand new. It's like if you got the natural good jump shot and you're first time touching basketball, well, buckle up. You didn't even practice, train, got coaching, feedback, support, ain't plugged in. Like you're about to be dropping it. Like,
Yeah.
and that's just the way it is. Andrew, can you grab this real quick for me? This thing's giving me background. It's driving me nuts. All right. So the people that you reached out to, did you feel like pretty good sharing the opportunity with them and giving them a shot? Like, how did you feel about just expressing them, hey, there's an opportunity I've got? How did that conversation look?
So I'm gonna be honest with you. I never reached out to anybody in my warm market. Well, I have, but none of my warm market is who I hired. I kind of started out like, hey, let me get a staff right out the jump that can start working towards hiring agents while I kind of do my thing as far as helping families.
So you have a recruiter that's reaching out and talking to people. What platforms are you using to find these potential?
So what we're doing is we're buying the recruitment leads, and I'm having them dial them daily, 300-400 calls a day, and just present them with the opportunity. And as soon as they come on, then I'm jumping in and introducing myself and bringing them onto the team, and then we're going through that contracting process, and we're just staying locked in, communicating with them daily, weekly, just to keep them engaged as they go through that contracting process.
I love it. So your focus has been, what's been your focus? Selling?
So I sell half of the day and I recruit half of the day.
So they're recruiting and you're touching base with the people that they've kind of connected.
Correct. Yep. And then following back and making sure, hey, they're going through contract and asking if they have any questions.
Building a relationship with them.
Building relationships, letting them know that I'm here and I'm able to be, I'm able to reach. You can touch me, you can call me, you can text me if you need anything. And just I'm available to you so they don't feel like, hey, I'm coming to something and I have nobody to talk to or reach out to.
I love that. So if you didn't have that recruiter, you probably couldn't go out there and sell as much as you're selling if you still wanted to have that many recruits in your first month.
No, I probably couldn't.
So how did you see it like that, man? Because like I get it. because when I was 19, I mean, now it wasn't a recruiter right away, because to me, I just needed to take things off my plate that were super unproductive. And it's different. You know, I don't want to be like the guy that walked uphill both ways in the snow. Like I did an e-app the other week, last week. I had I was at the market with my kids, and I bumped into my buddy I was roommates with my first year in college, right before I got my license. And he's like, man, I need some life insurance. I'm like, yeah, you do, dude. Like, if you would have died, I'd felt guilty. In fact, I can't let you go one more day without it, bro. And he's laughing. I'm like, look, we're going to get together tomorrow. And so I went out there and I did the e-app with him. And dude, it was like the simplest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
Like I hadn't even done an e-app, man, because I've been on the field for a couple years. I'm like, dude, this is just stupid. Like I was in and out in 45 minutes, and like based off what he paid and the commission that came in, I made like $5,300. I'm like, this just feels illegal.
Man.
Like I'm not going to give it back. But like I just feel I was hanging on my buddy. Like we were just watching some of the game. While, you know, it was weird, dude. But when I got started, we had to do the paper apps. We had to scrub them. And I write like a 2.5-year-old that got held back in preschool. That's how bad my writing looks. And so I had to give them to an assistant to rewrite them, to scan them, to send them in, and then follow up the next day to make sure that their scanning and receiving software or whatever actually received the dang app, which 50% of the time I didn't get. So she had to resend it. And then we had to make sure that everything was okay, which it never was okay because I write like a complete idiot. So then I'd have to get an amendment, and she had to call the carrier. I'd have to go back out. It was a disaster. So I realized early on, like, if I have somebody redo my apps, scan stuff in, all those kind of things, like that would take time off my plate where I could actually spend that time doing what makes me money, which is booking appointments, seeing clients, sell more insurance.
Right.
So I get that. I got it, even though I had no business acumen or entrepreneur background or any family that ever exemplified that. My dad was a dang plumber. I had nobody, but it just made sense. How did you see it that way for you, being the fact that you had just got started, you really hadn't had many sales yet, and you were that quick the same week to recruit somebody? Because there's people watching this, dude, that have been selling 20 families a month for a long time, and they have no staff. And I try to help them, but I'm just like, I don't even know what to say. Like, so you say it, because I don't know what to say, bro.
So I'll say I learned.
I don't know how to say it.
I learned in previous business, trying to wear all the hats, and it hurt me in the moment I brought on to staff and put the right person in the right seat. The business would take off. So I came in this mentality, and Bruce, of course, told me the same thing. Like, hey, you need a staff. That's how you're going to grow. And I'm not afraid to invest into my business and invest into myself. So I'm like, okay, well, what's the first thing I need to get? He's like, well, you want to hire, you need to get a recruiter. Okay, cool. Let's get a recruiter. Because you can only do so much in a day. It's only 24 hours. But if you have a teammate next to you, somebody that has the same goal, has the same vision as you do, they can push that further. And if you add another staff member, you add the correct people, you can go so much further together. And I kind of have a sports background. So, as a kid, I want to win the game by myself, and I played basketball, and I had to learn how to get my teammates involved, get the shooter involved, get the big men involved, get everybody to play together as one, and we will go a lot further. We can win tournaments and win things like that. So that's kind of where that comes from.
I love that. That's a great analogy, man. Because I think I've always kind of struggled with that. Like, man, if I could just do it, it'll get done better and faster. I'll just do it. But that thought of trying to hold on to it and control it costs you more than you think. And I think the battle too, when it comes to stuff, is like, okay, when you hire somebody, they're supposed to lift the lid, because if you're doing all you can do with the time you've got, that therefore becomes your lid. But when you hire someone, they can take those things off your plate. Then you can lift that lid and go out there and do more things that'll expand your business.
Right.
But what most people don't realize is that the first little bit, you have to actually lower your lid before you can lift your lid, because now you got to slow down and train somebody. Is it easier just to do it yourself, or spend the time walking slowly to train the person to do it? It's easier just to do it yourself. But if you can spend the time getting them trained, you only go back and lower the lid just for a small portion of time, and that allows you to lift the lid indefinitely, moving forward. And I think that's the big deal you've got to realize. The one other thing I want to point out that, Mike, you probably knew, maybe you didn't, you probably did. Bruce had like staff his first week.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just hear me on this, guys. Like, this is like, if you can get this, I promise you to help you. If who in here is selling life insurance actively right now? Okay, who in here has an life insurance policy themselves? Okay, everybody selling has their hand up. Okay, if you have your license and the first policy you don't sell is yourself, you're a cuckoo. Like, hello, like, what are you doing? Because I don't know. Every sales book I've ever read in my entire life, the first thing it says is you have to own what you're selling.
Right.
Well, why? Because you can't convince somebody unless you're convicted. And how am I convicted in something if I don't own it? Like, I mean, it's common sense, right? But still, it's stated over and over and over again. But if you just have it, your ability to persuade, to influence that person to get it is significantly greater because you've done whatever you can and stepped over what you need to step over to get the policy too. It's like Mike's got a nice Mercedes, right? If I went to go buy a Mercedes and I get on a car lot and Mike drives up in a BMW, that's confusing.
Right.
I'm like, dude, like, why do you have a BMW? He's like, no, the Mercedes. It's top notch. I'm like, well, dude, you don't like top notch? Like,
right.
like what are we doing here? And there's people that work at dealerships. By the way, if you're watching this in the car industry, this is your tip. Go buy what you're selling, dude. You can say, well, I can't afford 2 car payments. You can't afford not to because you're selling way less cars because you don't own what you're selling, bro. Now, so there's always, it costs you significantly more than you think when you don't take that step. Because Bruce had a recruiter, he was able to communicate in such a way with conviction and with certainty and confidence that Mike's like, dude, like, it sounds like that's definitely the right thing to do.
It's a no-brainer.
Because the way he was able to do it. Now, if Bruce didn't, we can't hypothesize. I guess we can hypothesize. We don't know for sure. But if Bruce maybe didn't do it, maybe he doesn't communicate with the same confidence to get Mike to be convinced that this is the right move. So how much money does that really cost Bruce? Now, he doesn't have the recruiters, which shortcutted him. And now he doesn't have people on his team invest in their business, which is his business, because if Mike grows, Bruce grows. You understand the compound effect of making a step and staying comfortable, because it's uncomfortable to hire a recruiter. What are some things that you thought of, like when you hired somebody, like that? I guess it was kind of like the fear. Like, did you have any fears about recruiting somebody, like getting the wrong person, wasting money, wasting time?
I think
like,
everybody has those same fears. Like, man, am I getting the right person? Am I going to waste my money? How much is it going to affect me? But it's like, in the same breath, if I don't get a recruiter, like you said, how much is it going to cost me? How much money am I losing out on? Because that recruiter could find the next person that's going to be a VP or something like that. So it goes both ways.
Yeah. What does it cost you not to? It's like, what if it doesn't work? Man, what if it does, bro?
It only has to work once, right?
Well, dude, so like, I think the biggest thing that top people do that I've seen, Mike, is they're really good at, like, in their mind doing trade-offs.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you do a trade-off, you're not singularly focusing on, like, what if it doesn't, or how much is it going to cost you? Because that means you've not considered how much is it going to cost you if you don't. How much hardship is it going to cause? How much limitations are going to put if you don't?
Right.
But if you're saying I'm the kind of person that runs trade-offs in my head, that alone will bring awareness up and cause you to make the right choice. Because if your intention is to grow, you need awareness of what to choose to allow the growth to happen. And so, no different than if it was like, do I want to go to this last appointment at 9 p.m.? It's 8 o'clock. I'm an hour and a half away. In fact, the appointment was at 8:30. I'm not going to get there until 9:30. I've already got killed today, or I've already crushed it today. Let me just push it back. But then you say, I got a trade-off mindset. What if they were there and they're going to pay $2,500 a year? And if I knew that, and the money I was going to make would have been $2,500. If that was the case, would I then go?
Right.
Then if you're like, yeah, I would, well, then go. Does that make sense? So That's such an important quality, man.
Right, right. No, I agree. I agree 100% with that because, like you said, you never know what you're if you didn't go, what are you missing out on? You know, so you should always have a fear of what are you going to miss.
I like that. That's a healthy fear. Um, all right. So what do you think are have been like are you doing face-to-face sales, virtual sales? What are you
I'm all telesales,
all telesales?
all telesales.
Okay.
Um, I come from a call center background, so in my mind, anything can be sold over the phone. I think that was like the first thing I told Bruce when he even brought it to me, like, man, you should do this on telesales. Like, this is, and so when I came in, I was like, I'm doing telesales, I'm doing over the phone. Even with the growth of the team, I'm like, hey, you guys can sell outside of your state. You can sell so much more. I'm not against face to face because you can do face to face if you need to, but telesales you can touch all the states.
I love it, dude. You got to convince me to telesales, bro. I'm in. What does that look like for you? Are you dialing on certain days? What's kind of like your goal structure?
I'm dialing from 9 to 1 is my cutoff, my time for working. I'm doing 3 to 400. My sweet spot's like 350 on the outbound, and then I'm taking live transfers.
So are you doing like phone burner, or are you using any kind of
I'm
service?
using phone burner, throwing in there and letting phone burner kind of do its thing. You know, it's working smarter, not harder all the time. And then in between that, I'm taking some live transfers and trying to mix that throughout the day.
So are you calling like instant internet life leads
Yeah,
on
so I'm
phone
calling
burner?
instant. Yeah, so I'm
And then the
getting
live
those
transfers?
correct. Those and EverQuotes.
EverQuote live transfer.
Yeah, no EverQuote in that in instant, and then live transfers. I'm doing the all web leads.
All web leads. Okay, perfect. Um, are you plugged into any kind of Zoom dial teams with your team or anybody else?
No, so I have a Zoom. I've had that idea, and I definitely want to kind of create that as it grows. So my plan is to have everybody kind of log into the Zoom, and we're all dialing, so I'm able to help back and forth and kind of critique or kind of help. Hey, say this or say that, so people can get help while they're dialing versus like they're on a call and they're trying to call me. Hey, what do I say? I can actually
Sure.
listen in. I can see when they're talking and you know, if somebody gets a good call, they can kind of go off into another room and people can go off and listen to them close.
Like a breakout room?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a great dial team to hop on. So Nina and Hayden, we got a phenomenal one. It's FFLSalesTeam.com. And their whole group is doing virtual sales.
Mm-hmm.
Man, they're helping, I think right now, 4,000 or 5,000 families a month.
Oh wow.
And they really been at this thing for probably 24 months.
Wow.
You can do the same thing. You can go be a part of that. Watch some of their top producers. They're 100% virtual sales, right? I'm not saying that it's bad to go face to face. There's a lot of teams that are growing just as much and they're doing all face to face. You know what I mean? So, and then some people are doing a hybrid. I know Sam does a little bit of both. He does some virtual, he does some telesales, and so they both work. It's just find out what works for you, right? And then whatever you're working, make sure you're the best at that, and you're doing the things that allow you to become the best and fulfill your potential.
Right.
But if you hop on that Zoom dial team, you can watch some top producers across the country, and then you can do the breakout rooms. You can say, hey, my 5 guys, hey, let's go hop in this breakout room. I want to kind of watch you one-on-one so that way I can give some more touches, right? I can actually be more engaged because it's not 500 people and it's 5. So I think that's a big deal, is plugging yourself into an environment that's going to help you keep the right disciplines, non-negotiables, and standards when it comes to your dial activities and what you do or don't do, right? Is important. Mike, what's been some of the biggest things that you've learned with telesales?
As far as just it's about consistency. And it's one of my things I think is great is how you approach every call. Because if you're having a day, it's just a tough day, you're just getting no's. You may have gotten that yes, but your energy that's transferable on those calls, it might have pushed somebody away versus taking every single phone call as if you closed your last deal. With that energy, it transfers, and you know when they feel that on the phone call, that might be your deal. That might lead you to your next deal. Versus if you came kind of, I didn't get this last deal, I haven't got a deal all day. This person's probably going to just say no or whatever. They can feel that energy. At least I believe they can. So I try to attack every single phone call as if I close my last deal. Be consistent. You know, do the dials. Don't shortcut it because you're only shortcutting yourself. And kind of take the script and make it your own and have fun with it. Just enjoy talking to people, enjoy helping, you know, people and doing what you do.
I love that, man. That's such a big tip. I hope nobody missed it. Like, call the next family as if you just helped the last family. That's just like a victor mindset, not a victim. Victim is like, man, Nothing's going my way today. These clients are just the bad clients. Billy over there on the Zoom, he's probably got the good ones, like, huh? How do you practically do that? Like, because it sounds good, and then all of a sudden somebody gets on the phones and they get hung up on 9 times, and they go through and they're like, man, that fool ain't know what he's talking about, dude. Because then you're overwhelmed with this feeling of like, this sucks, right? How do you get past, like, is it a mindset thing?
It's a
How do you
mindset
do
thing.
it?
It's kind of like just training your mind to when you close a deal, take that feeling and lock it in and then use that every time. If that means that you have to go to, okay, I remember I closed this deal 2 days ago and this is how I felt. Let me attack that phone call with it. And then just have the intent to do it every time. And just be honest with yourself, like, okay, I'm gonna close this deal because I also believe what you say and what you believe it happens. So if you tell yourself, I'm going to close this deal, this is going to be the deal, this is going to be my first deal today, it's going to be my second deal today. When you hop on that phone call, it's gonna be transparent. You're gonna feel it.
Dude, I think that tip is huge, man. I think that's probably the biggest reason agents don't hit their potential when it comes to anything related to the phones or even in the home, is having that kind of mindset of like, they're probably going to be. I remember thinking that, Mike, like, when I do a door knock, I think like, oh, I'm probably bugging them.
Right.
And because I had that thought, my voice, what comes out of my mouth would be like, hey, Mary, I know you're really busy, but if, like, what kind of stupid statement is that? Like, I mean, I feel like almost dumb saying it, but that's what I would say.
You're giving them a way out immediately.
Dude, she was probably sitting on her couch watching All My Children or whatever. And then she's like, oh yeah, right now is not a good time. I got a lot going on. And then I'm like, okay, I'll come back tomorrow. Now I'm chasing. Dude, it's a complete wrong approach because she needs me.
Right.
I'm the doctor. She's a patient. I'm like the doctor showing up and like, hey, I got this weird feeling that you're gonna have a heart attack tomorrow. In fact, you're going to have it. And I do the test and you got a clogged artery. Like, you should be like, oh my God, thank you so much. That's who I should be coming over. Like, dude, I don't care what you got going on. Like, you got to stop because you send this request back in. But it's funny how whatever thought you've got, that's what's going to cause you to feel certain ways. And that's going to cause you to go out there and act a certain way. And so when I have an agent says, man, I'm buying leads, dude, I've got the dial, I got the activities. The problem is their attitude's off.
Mm-hmm.
And the attitude is just that subtle way you think and feel about things, and they're thinking and feeling about leads in the wrong way. And so one simple thing you could do, if you have a bad run, there's runs, right? It's sequences. Like, you invest in the stock market?
I'm learning.
Yeah, well, don't learn right now, bro. So this year has been sequences. I don't even like looking at it. It's like I feel like I got bipolar or something. I got to go take lithium. Looking at this stuff, but like it's like the sequences are all wacky. You know what I mean? But that's how it is sometimes with dialing. But over the long period of time, the law of large numbers will prevail if you don't start making emotional responses from what you see taking place.
Right.
So if you're on the phones, you'll have times where everybody picks up and it's like you're booking everything. There'll be times where you're like, dude, I ain't booking nothing. Nobody's picking up. But it's the way you respond. So this is how me and Andrew would do it. If we got smoked for 2-3 hours, and sometimes we'd call almost to like complain to each other, like, dude, man, like, what the heck?
Right.
And I always tell him, like, dude, you're due for a good next 3 hours. He called me, man, today I got smoked. Well, dude, that's a good thing. It ain't good, bro. No, it's good because you're due for a massive day today. Numbers are numbers, bro. They're about to swing in your direction.
Yeah.
Because you put in the right activity, you're doing the right things. But but if I didn't get his mind right on that, or vice versa, then he could actually sabotage the numbers that were getting ready to go in his direction. Does that make sense at all?
It's like the next shot mentality. That's why I play stuff. I like to bring things to sports a lot. But if you're having a bad shooting game or you missed a shot, if you keep that mentality, you're going to continue to miss. But if you're like, okay, I let that go, next shot, and you come down, you might hit a big shot, or you might score, you might get rolling.
Mm-hmm.
But if you, in the same thing with dialing, if you take that last call, those last couple of hours, and you bring that into your next quarter of 2 or 3 hours, it's going to continue. Versus you like, okay, I let that go. It's gonna change. It's gonna be good now. Let me be positive. Then somebody may pick up and it's a close. Then next couple calls is a pickup and it's a close. And now you had a great day. And you're looking at the law of numbers, you're looking at the entire day, like, okay, well, I closed 2 today. It was good, regardless of how it started.
You ever see Steph Curry chewing on his mouth guard?
Yeah.
That fool don't look like he's missing nothing. But think about that. Like, dude, he's like so convinced and confident he's gonna make that shot. Like the dude's chewing on his mouth guard like it's bubble gum. You know what I mean? He just like he knows it's gonna go in. Now, the thing is this. When you have momentum, it makes you look twice as good as you actually are.
Right.
Like you're like, dude, you know, you watch a basketball team and you've ever seen a team that goes like, they go like 20 points and they're just dropping them. The other team has no answer. Like they're unanswered 20 points, right?
Coach has to call a timeout.
Yeah. Get their mind right. But when you're watching that game, I'm thinking like, dude, this team doesn't miss nothing.
Right.
And I'm thinking this other team, why are they in the NBA? You know? But the crazy thing is like 5 minutes later, it could go switch all the time.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden that team was 20 unanswered. You know, you're thinking like, dude, that team why is that team? But momentum will make you look twice as good as you are when you got it. It'll make you look twice as bad as you actually are when you don't have it.
Right.
And so that's what you got to realize is that if it's not going your way, you're not as bad as those numbers show. Just keep your head up, expect for a big comeback and turnaround, and look forward with a visualization, imagination that what you want is going to come to pass. But what you don't want to do is start rehearsing the past, because all you're going to do is bring that into the present and really ruin when that momentum shift's getting ready to take place. Because all you need is that 3-point shot to go down. All you need is that next appointment. All you need is that next sale. You're one more away. But if you don't see it changing, you'll repeat the history. The history will become your future. And now you've got a doom loop that just continues to perpetuate. And now you've got discouragement, not thinking it's going to work out, self-doubt. Maybe this isn't for me.
Right. And it goes back to what you're saying, confidence. Confidence in whatever you're doing. Confidence on the phones. If you have confidence in it, you're going to be a great producer because you're confident in what you're doing. And that's going to come from doing the dials daily, doing the work, going through the rough times, and hey, turning around at the end of the call. So you can look back at that like, man, I remember I had a terrible day on Monday, but I got to that one call with that one family and I signed up the husband and wife and their kid, and it turned out to be a great day. So
how do you do that though, dude? Like, opposed to looking back and saying, because you could easily look back and say, yeah, man, last week too, I had a day where I got smoked, and almost highlighting what's going to validate the bad day you just had, opposed to you're looking back and finding the day that was good to give you hope in the next. Like, how do you do that?
I say we're human, so we all have that negative, like where it's, dang, this is happening. But I always tried to be a person that found the silver lining in whatever happened. So if it's bad, okay, well, it happened for a reason to teach me something. God's doing this for a reason. Let me learn from it. Okay, cool. Well, this bad day, this is what I did wrong. So am I doing any of those things today? I am. Let me change that and then try to have a better outcome. Because we have to be realistic with ourselves. Like, not every day is going to be perfect. We're not going to have the stellar week every single week, but over the period of time, it's going to get better if you're positive with it. So I think it's just trying to find the good in even a bad situation, or the lesson you can learn from even in a bad situation.
All right, dude, I got like 22 more questions and I got to get them quickly. They're coming to my mind. First of all, dude, you sound like you're somebody that has like a really good, like healthy mindset that's more centered towards the path of success opposed to failure. I just get that. I just feel that when I talk to you, man. It's like all the stuff you're saying, like, dude, it resonates so well. Do you have like a personal growth plan? Like, what do you do to help yourself develop and grow? Because your mindset's not just something you just by nature have. Like, how do you?
So I played a lot of sports growing up. So my dad played pro ball. My uncles played sports. So it was always just, and I've had coaches that kind of always mentored me that way. And then it's just trying to always want to win that thing. So I'm like, I learned at an early age, like you got to be more positive than negative, because I was taught like negativity is a cancer. So if we have a great team and you're the negative one, you can instill that into somebody over there, and that can just go over to everybody. Versus if I'm positive and I can keep everybody being positive even in tough times, we'll get through that. So I've persevered through a lot of tough times, just being more positive than letting that tough time define me.
Have you ever had a person on your team that was really good? Like their performance was maybe the top 10% on the team, game changer, playmaker, but their attitude was negative.
Yeah.
And it was worth getting them off the team, even though they were so good?
100%.
Did the team get better when you got rid of them?
Of course. Because, I mean, you can look at teams and it's teams that have all the talent in the world, but they can't win. And it's teams that have less talent, but they all have that camaraderie. They love each other and they play for each other and they go a lot further. They do more than they're supposed to because of that. So, the coaches say that to me at a young age. Like, I'd rather have a player that might not be as talented as this guy, but he does everything I ask him. And he's not hard-headed. He listens. He does well in school. He does all these things he does what he's supposed to do versus a talented kid that gives me all the headache.
Dude, that's so good. For everybody that's building a team, take that into consideration. Find the people that you want to work with that make you feel more alive when you work with them. Because it is the absolute truth. And the cancer, man, there ain't no situation, circumstance, or team that's going to change that. That's an internal issue. And that's the thing. I'm just telling you. Like, and they can say, well, they're really good. Dude, like, they're hurting the team. When they open their mouth, bad things spread around, right? It's just, it ain't good. I coach I coach my 10-year-old's club team for soccer. And that's what they say. They say, if a girl's like complaining, they'll say, stop being a germ. You're messing with us. You're messing us up, Or if they're being positive, they're like, that's vitamin C.
Right.
And we got this rule. If you say, hey, girls, which is funny because when you hear the girls say it, it's hilarious. And I don't know if you can maybe judge me for it or not. I just think it's effective. But if you ask, like, what's the number one rule? They'll say, no complaining rule. And I'll say, well, why? And they'll say, well, because when you complain, it makes everybody want to throw up in their mouth and then we don't know what to do with it. Which I think it's just, I do it for, it's funny, so, but it's true. It's like complaining just like makes me feel sick in my stomach. It's tough to deal with. So you've gotten really good. You've had a telesales background. That's translated really well for you to go out there and apply it here.
Right.
What does your telesales process look like? Can you kind of break down like what that script looks like, what the flow looks like, what you go through?
So my script when I'm getting them on the phone, introducing myself. Hey, how you doing? How you doing, Joe? This is Mike here. I'm the state underwriter with California. I'm just calling to touch bases with you. I see that you filled out information. You had some interest in receiving some information on life insurance policy. Okay, yeah, okay. Were you looking for something for yourself or you and your spouse? And they'll say, oh, for me. Okay, perfect. And then from there, I'm just kind of quickly getting an understanding of what they're looking for. Do you have an idea of, how much coverage you're looking for?
I was looking for I don't know, man, like maybe a couple 100,000, 300,000.
Okay, perfect. And do you have an idea of, what your budget monthly is?
I'd probably like to be under, I don't know, $150, $200 a month.
Okay, perfect. So what we're going to do, I'm going to ask you a few questions here, about 5 questions. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and submit that and get you a couple options to see exactly, what fits for you. And then from there, I'm asking those 4 or 5 questions. Are they smoking nicotine, cancer, liver or whatever, while I'm pulling up the quotes? Because I believe that if I could find out what you want, $150 to $200, if I bring you policies low 150, 200, 250, if that's okay, that's your budget, then why would you not want to do it? Now, if I'm trying to get you to spend 250, 300, I'm not going to pressure that. I'm not going to put that on. I'm going to give you exactly what you're looking for. That makes sense. Therefore, you're going to be more willing to move forward. Okay, perfect. That fits. Let's go ahead and get through the application and then boom, boom, boom. Versus when somebody tells me, oh, I want $250,000 and my budget's $50. Okay, I completely understand that. Well, at that budget, I don't think that we can get you that much coverage, but let's get you something in place. And when things may change, we can then look at adding more.
I love that, dude. All right, guys. So I'm going to ask Mike 1 or 2 more questions. I wanted just to put it out there for you. If you've got a question, put it in the comments, right? Casey can yell at me what the question is. And we'll wrap up the last 2 minutes with the question. So Mike, when you ask them, what's your budget? How much could you afford? Do they answer that?
Sometimes they say I don't know. And I'm like, okay, cool. Is it like $50 to $100, 100 to 200, 200, 300? They know the number.
And then they'll give you something.
I'm looking like $60. Okay, perfect. Now I know where we're at. Now I know not to come to you with $150 because we're looking at 60.
The sale's been done at that point in time.
Yeah, it's done.
Because they've already asked for help. We've got an idea what the budget looks like. And then the last thing, though, is when Mike says, let's make sure something at least is in place. See, people don't want to be told what they can't get, But if they can't get 250,000, you can spin it in a way to make what they can get look very attractive. I could say stuff like, listen, Mike, most families that I've talked to, their main concern and goal is to make sure they know that they've done their best. So if tomorrow they're driving home and somebody's texting and driving and they hit them, and that's it. That's the last day they're going to be here. The wife gets notified, their spouse gets notified, which happens every day because there's a bunch of crazy people out there driving. At that point in time, they know that they've done everything they could have done to make sure that their family's taken care of. Now, I want millions of dollars in coverage for my family. Most people do. But at the end of the day, what I really want is to make sure for what I can afford, I can get the most in place for my family.
Right.
And at your age, the good news is this: most clients will say, Paul, I can't get more than 5,000. I went online, looked at stuff on the TV. The good news, Mike, is we can probably get coverage all the way up to 50,000 plus for your age. So now I compared it to them getting hardly anything. Now 50 looks really good. I got their eyes off looking at the 250, got their eyes looking at the 50, and built appreciation for the 50. Once you've done all that, like the sale's done, right?
The sale's done. They're just walking through and making sure they get approved, and you're getting everything put in place. Because at the end of the day,
what's your closing statement?
As far as once they're signed up, okay, perfect. We have you here. We have you approved. We have you approved. We have you here. We're getting everything submitted. It is going to take 1 to 3 business days for them to go ahead and give you that full approval. You will have your policy in your email. If you are approved, you will receive that in 7 to 10 business days in the mail also. And then as far as like my information, you guys have all my information. And I asked, can you do me a favor? You definitely like the service that I provide for you today. Yeah, definitely. If you could, refer me, 3 to 5 people that you think can benefit from a life insurance policy, I would greatly appreciate it. And then okay, let me see. They start looking through their phone or whatever, and I'm writing those down, and I'm reaching out.
Do you get referrals every single time?
Not every time, but I try to, of course. Some people, I had a guy in Alaska. He's like, I don't have any referrals for you. Everybody I know here has a policy. I was the last one to get one.
All the 4.5 people in Alaska.
So I'm like, well, I'm glad I got you before somebody else.
Sell a policy to one of the moose out there. But that's just that's going the extra mile. It's a little bit, and like I said a couple weeks back, that's where the profitability is. Like, why would you not ask to have somebody that you can go, dude, they might, how many times I've had like, dude, my brother actually is the one that told me to look at life insurance because he was looking at it. And then I just happened to get this request in the mail. Like there's so many times I've had people like, hey, dad, the dad's on the couch. He's like 78 years old. My dad was talking about life insurance. You just don't know how to get it. Dad, come here. I write him up for like $400 a month. I wrote the kids for 50. You know what I mean? Like that stuff happens, but you got to open your mouth and ask good questions so you can find great opportunities. I mean, it's what works. Casey, what do you got? Any questions, bro?
Bruce just said, great job, Mike. Let's go.
All right, Bruce. Hey, Bruce, thank you for getting Mike in here, man. Bruce is consistent. He's got some good people he knows, man, which says a lot about Bruce, right? You gotta be worried about the ones you try to recruit and you're like, who do you know? Like, I got nobody that's good. I got nobody that's good. You're like, well, dude, birds of the feather flock together, man. Who you flying with, bro?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing? Bruce has got some good feathers, man. So, all right, guys. Hey, thank you for being here today. Mike, appreciate you, bro. That was great stuff.
Appreciate you.
Let's go out there, make it a big week. Be strong, stay steadfast. Talk to you soon. Take care.